Hello and welcome back to the Farmer on the Wall. For anybody that is watching this for the first time and saying, what in the heck is all this junk? Well, each of these hard drives have lottery tickets on them. These lottery tickets are sometimes picked to be included in the Chia blockchain. When they are, you get a reward. It's currently 1 Chia, which is about half of what it was a while ago. And then right now, since I'm pooling, I only get about a quarter Chia. But I'm still getting about 5 Chia per week total with these 2 farms. So the purpose is, number 1, it looks cool, fun to build. Number 2, it still makes a little bit of money even though it's been cut back a little bit. So the Gigahorse one, which is a farm over here, is running C7 compression. That gives me 808 terabytes of raw storage with these drives. And then I got a 1.07 petabyte effective. This has not really changed at all. It's been the same as it has been forever. Over here we got the farmer one. This one I add a little more storage to. It's currently running C5 compression, the official CNI C5 compression, 13,100 plots, and this is at 1.26 petabytes effective space. So this has got a lot more space than the Gigahorse one, but it's also a little bit, I have to pay a fee whenever I win on this one. And I cheated a little bit here. Not all the hard drives are on the wall here. I'm going to go down underneath. You'll see I found some cheap, and I mean super cheap, 2.5-inch hard drive adapters. I think it's because it only fits the 2.5s, they were cheap. So I threw some cables on here. Runs my 3.5 drives, no problem. You can see I did some 3D printing just to hold these things together, but 10 drives down here, 2 in the back, so a little bit of a cheat. Everything's not on the wall, but this is final form. I think I'm done adding just because Chia price has gone down so much. At some point, they probably are going to redo the plot format, but that's a little ways off, so I might replot at some point. But hardware wise, I think I'm done with these two. The big change that I have is I did add a storage server. This is another way you make money with hard drives. The difference is this is kind of a high I/O access. The Chia ones, they only hit the hard drive every 8 seconds or so. This one you can see just based on the activity, it's hitting it pretty regular. And the way, that cool little card here that I like, this is called Bifurcation of the X16 PCIe lane. So what this means is, normally I get X16 lanes out of here. You get 16 lanes at 16 speed. What I do is I split this with this bifurcation, so now each of these get 4 lanes. They each get a X16, each get 4 X16 speed PCIe lanes, which means they're still pretty quick. And then I got 2 drives hidden under here, so that's another, I'm up to 6, and then I got the main OS drive over here that I don't really use for anything. But I got 6 NVMe drives over here totaling 11 terabytes for this storage node. And this also runs a web server, so if you ever check a status thing, like a status of the farms or a status of even this, it's going to run off of this system. And that just sits on the wall with everything else. Obviously no big hard drives attached to it because it's all inside. But I had to show everybody the bifurcation of the X16 lane. This card's only 20 bucks, but your BIOS and CPU have to support it. And I'll talk about that when we get into the log on to the server sides. But bifurcated X16 lane, fun word of the day, bifurcation. Everything else is pretty much the same. Obviously more hard drives, no difference there. Still quiet, still passively cooled, other than those drives under there, which aren't on the wall. I had to put a fan on those because they're so close together. But the rest of these are still fine. And then the new bifurcated drives just have a heat sink, no fans required here. These are all under 50 degrees Celsius, or I think 70 is the top for NVMe drives. I don't keep the hard drive nearly that hot. They're usually under 40, but still working pretty well and looking cool. All right, let's get right into this bifurcation. Here is the BIOS of that machine I was on. You'll notice I have a Ryzen 7 7700, not G. If you get the G, which has the better iGPU, which I'm a huge fan of because I love iGPUs, you will not be able to bifurcate this lane. And what that means is you're only going to get a choice of auto or X8 by X, which means you can only have 2 devices shared on that. But since we are selected 4, 4, 4, 4, that means each of those NVMe drives you saw on that card get 4 lanes, which is what you need. So this is the 4-way bifurcation that this motherboard, the MPG 650 Edge, along with this processor, that combo will support this 4-way bifurcation. The Gs, which I love, the 5700G, the 8700G, they will not support this 4-way bifurcation. So beware before you buy that cheap $20 card that can support those 4 drives. You have to have a BIOS that supports something like this. This is the 4-way one. So that I discovered this by accident. I had the 7700 spare. I bought the 8700 because I wanted to have the better iGPU. Slapped in the 7700 and saw this bifurcation was available. So purely by accident, and then I took that card, and that's why I have a storage system basically. So now that we've covered the bifurcation that makes this amazing number of NVMe drives possible on that motherboard, we can see here on the disk management that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the bifurcated drives on that one card. Then I got these other 2 that are on the existing M2 slot. So the motherboard supports 3 actually, because this is the system out drive that's on there, and then these other 2 M2 slots, and then these other 4 are the bifurcated. So that's how I'm able to get all these friggin' NVMe drives on one motherboard. And the reason I did a span, you can see this is actually just spanning these volumes. The Microsoft Storage Spaces was not happy with one of these drives. It didn't want to pool. I think it had some with the cluster size. No matter what I tried, I wouldn't do it. And then the AMD RAID, which is like the AMD RAID Expert 2, is a complete disaster. The drives don't work. The drivers don't work. I couldn't get it to recognize half the time. It was very unstable, so I didn't even want to take a chance with it. So at least the way the AMD motherboards are set up now, I recommend the this is like the oldest method of spanning drives, is the when you do a dynamic, you can see they're dynamic drives and it's a span dynamic drive. It seems to be the most stable. The RAID and the storage spaces don't, I'm sure they're better. They probably offer more speed and everything. I don't need a whole lot of speed for this, because again, this is just a storage node. So getting to that, we'll flip over to the storage node controller here. This actually tells you, you can see I was down for quite a bit because I had to transfer from my old spinning hard drive to these NVMe drives. So you do get punished if you're down. You do get punished if you don't have the right thing. You can see I'm up at 36 bucks. Not nearly as much as Chia, but honestly, it was just fun. I have the web server running anyway. Might as well do something with it. But it tells you how much bandwidth you use, how much space you have. You see I'm only about half full right now. You get more money the more full it is, and more it's used, obviously. So I haven't done a whole lot with storage, but it is fun. It doesn't take a lot of effort to get set up and running. And it's cool to play around with, just like Chia. So again, the Chia farm have not changed that much. This is the farmer. This is the one that uses the CNI C5 compression. You can see it's got 1.05 petabyte raw, 1.27 effective. Expected time to win is 4 days, so I still get a decent amount of Chia coming in. These are all the drives. This is just the web page. I'll link this in the video. You can click it, and if you ever have whatever reason you would want to, you can check on the status of these drives. These are all under 50 degrees Celsius. They stay cool on the drive. I think the ones that I pointed out under the desk, yeah, they are these with this cool little icon here. So those, you can see some of these temps aren't even reporting, but they're staying cooler than the wall because they have active fans on them. Yeah, down here we got, these are the ones that are in under the desk. These right here with this icon, these are the ones on the wall. So it's weird, but yeah, these are under the table. You can see they're a little bit cooler because they have an active fan. You can see I got lots of proofs coming in. So this is like my status page for the farmer one. This is the CNI not Gigahorse one. And then we tab over to, this is the Gigahorse one, and this has the 800 terabytes raw, 1.07, a little bit more compression, because using that C7 Gigahorse compression. And then I have status of the GPU, everything on here. So everything you could possibly want, for whatever reason, is on this page. And we see all the drives. All these are on the wall. And then we're back to, these are the USB adapters. That's what those stand for. The drives temperatures are still, again, 42. I'm not going to spend too much time on these because these have been covered extensively in previous videos. But I will go over to the new Storj node, which I have. This is my actual node ID. It's how much bandwidth I've used this month. The total uptime because I rebooted recently, and then quick is how it does kind of the status. You have to do some port forwarding for this to happen, but it walks you through it on their site. So again, something to play around with it. It's not going to take a lot of resources, just a few drives, and you can do multiple nodes as well. But again, that 7700 with this motherboard combo is the only thing that I have working that will do that bifurcation that I'm aware of. And then we go down here, and I cannot for the life of me get PowerShell to say anything about the space used per drive, which would be cool. So if anybody watching this, I've tried all kinds of PowerShell, you know, get physical disk, get volume, get every PowerShell I could possibly find. It will not tell you how much space is being used by that volume. It just reports, here is one volume spanning these drives. And I can get all the space I want on that volume, but I can't see how much space is being used per physical drive for that volume, which would be cool. But I don't mind the temps. You can see here, I have no idea how this got to 100. It must have been one time I didn't have a heatsink on it, once in its lifetime. But you can see it's all under 70 degrees is the recommended maximum for these. So no problems with cooling. It's all passive cooling here again. You can see all the different satellites, how much they're storing. And it's just going to keep on growing until it's at 11 terabyte, and it's just going to bring in cash. You can see you hardly get anything compared to the price you get for Chia. So price-wise, you definitely don't want to do Storj, but if you've got extra bandwidth sitting around and hard drives you can't use for Chia plots, you might as well give it a shot. That's pretty much what I did. So anyway, that is the update. Probably the last one for a while, because I'm decided I'm not going to invest any more hardware. Just play out what I got. It still looks cool. The lights are nice, but no more additions to it. Other than if the plot format changes, I might flip around on that.